Before we begin the video, if you haven't yet, come on down and join my Discord server. Link is down in the description. Every ninja has had a villain who challenged them the most. Maybe a villain who made them question who they were, or a villain they fought 1v1. But in today's video, we are going to decide who is each ninja's worst enemy. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're checking out my own interpretation of who is every ninja's worst enemy. And starting off with, I think, a pretty obvious one, but Lloyd and Garbodor. Now, some people may argue that Harubi is a better option, and I think if I had to pick a second villain, Harubi totally works, but I think Garbodor is the better choice, because not only did he fight Lloyd in the OD trilogy, but also back in Season 2. Lloyd's story was very much connected to Garbodor in pretty much every season from Season 1 to Season 10, as both a great enemy, but also a great ally at times. Now, in the earlier days of the series, the reason why Lloyd became a ninja was to defeat the Dark Lord, who was incorrectly assumed to be Garbodor. But I think the reason why Garbodor is his worst enemy has more to do with the OD trilogy. In these 3 seasons, he fights Garbodor twice, and also has to deal with him in Season 10. We also see Lloyd try to redeem Garbodor in these seasons, especially Season 8 and Season 9. Garbodor causes Lloyd a lot of emotional pain because suddenly their happy ending is ruined, and Garbodor is back trying to kill his son. Also, throughout Hunted, Garbodor serves as his greatest adversary by constantly trying to hunt him down, and in the finale, Lloyd denies his lust for conflict by using the art of the Silent Fist. Don't get me wrong, Harumi really messed him up, but I think when you look at the series, Garbodor has been more of an enemy to Lloyd throughout the series than Harumi. Next up is going to be Jay and Nadokon. Again, I think this one is kind of obvious. You could say Udagami because Jay is kind of supposed to be a reflection of him, but I don't think this works so well because Jay and Udagami's relationship isn't really explored until the finale. Throughout Skybound, Nadokon tries to hunt Jay, but also Jay's girlfriend, Nia. It isn't just that. They're both interested in Nia for different reasons, but Jay gives her a choice, Nadokon does not. So there really is a contrast. There's also the idea that Jay is the focus of Season 6, and so Nadokon really is his villain, which is a trend you'll see a lot in this video. Jay is the last one standing in this season. He is the last to face Nadokon and defeat him by using his own wishes against him, and also he is the one to free the ninja from the sword. But it's not just that. In the middle episodes of the season, Nadokon really puts Jay through a lot, especially physical torture. And that sounds very intense, but it's kind of true. He forces him to keep fighting because he wants to break him to the point where he will use his wishes, and Jay has to resist against all of that, which he does successfully. Nadokon isn't Jay's greatest villain just because he tries to take Nia, but also because he really breaks down Jay. And for Kai, we're going to go with Crux. Not really both Hands of Time, but just Crux. I've heard people say that Chen is more Kai's villain, which I really disagree with. Yeah, Chen does kind of represent what Kai could be if he only had bad qualities, but these two don't really have too much of a relationship beyond this. Now, Crux, on the other hand, influenced Kai far more than Chen or even Acronix. Crux is the reason Kai did not have a normal upbringing and did not see his parents until several years later. And see, it was just Crux who did this, not his brother. So that's why I think he alone has far more of an impact on this family than both of them. Without his parents, I would imagine Kai probably had a very difficult time raising Nia all by himself and managing his household. And also, of course, this is the reason why Nia and, probably Kai aren't as close to their parents as they might have been. Crux is also the one who falsely says that Kai's parents were traitors, and this is an idea that plagues him for the rest of the season. So yes, because of how Crux influenced Kai's backstory, and also because of their interactions in Season 7, I believe that he is Kai's worst enemy. This is going to be an interesting choice, but for Zane, we're going with General Vex. So yeah, not Mr. E or Cryptor. I feel like the only thing those two characters have in common with Zane is that they all happen to be robots. And yes, the Overlord is the main antagonist of Zane's Focus season, but these two don't really have a relationship until the finale, where they both end up dying because of each other. So why Vex? Well, this relationship is very different from any other in this video because it's not a hero-villain relationship, it's a villain-villain relationship. Vex is one of 2 reasons why Zane becomes the Ice Emperor, the other being the Scroll. Vex robs Zane of who he is and turns him into a genocidal dictator, not just for a brief period of time, but many decades. Vex would constantly manipulate Zane throughout these decades, using him simply as a tool to get revenge on his people and carry out his other evil intentions. And again, this is a very different kind of relationship. Vex and Zane never have an epic 1v1. Instead, this relationship was established through Vex's manipulation of Zane. For Cole, we're going to go with the Skull Sorcerer or Evangelist. I think Yang is also an option that could work, because he turned Cole into a ghost. And prior to season 13, I do think Yang would be Cole's greatest enemy, but I think the Skull Sorcerer is a better choice. First off, the Skull Sorcerer tries to kill Cole by throwing him down the mountain, but he also connects Cole to his mom in many ways, most notably by stealing the blades, but also by reviving Griefbringer, who was Lily's main enemy. But I think more than anything, the Skull Sorcerer represents everything Cole stands against and his promise to his mom. The Skull Sorcerer is cruel, unjust, and overall a very evil person. He enslaved not one, but two races of people just to make money, and I can't think of someone who fits the cruel and unjust description more than him. And there's also really this huge contrast between Cole and the Skull Sorcerer. Cole helps people, he is compassionate, warm, caring, and the Skull Sorcerer is the exact opposite. And lastly for Nia, we are going to go with Kalmar, but also Wajira too, so really both of them. Now, some people may say Nanakon is her greatest enemy. I do think Nanakon is a pretty strong enemy of hers, but I think the Kalmar Wajira team impacted her more. This was probably Nia's greatest challenge in the entire series, as Tommy Drayson even said, and it's pretty obvious why. These two characters are the reason why Nia merged with the Sea, and was forced to leave her friends and family behind. In the case of Kalmar, Nia interacts with him a lot. She is the character who probably fights him the most, and him stealing the amulet because of what she said makes her feel a lot of guilt. But I also think a strong case can be made for Wajira, because Wajira is the original source of water, has in the past been an enemy of the original Master of Water, and without Wajira being awakened, I don't think Nia would have merged with the Sea. So that is why for me, it's hard to determine whether Kalmar or Wajira is any more of an enemy than the other. So again, I think both work. But that is about all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. It was fun to make. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone and everyone you know. Share your thoughts on who you think is each ninja's worst villain, and I'll see you next time.